Monday, October 7th, 2019, board meeting. Roll call.
Mr. Borthwick?
Here.
Mr. Duffy? Ms. Martin? Present. Mr. Lesh?
Here.
Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Norton?
Here.
Mr. Koval?
Present.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Mrs. Dixon?
Present.
8 present, 1 absent.
Ms. Orr?
Yes, executive sessions were held on Monday, September 30th, 2019, and this evening to discuss negotiations, personnel, staffing, and litigation.
Thank you. Attorney out?
I have no report this evening.
Thank you. Acting superintendent report. Ms. McTiernan?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I would just like to take a moment to speak regarding the threats that have been made, and just let everybody know we are working with the Scranton Police Department on the recent threats that have been made to some of our schools. We take all threats serious. The investigations are ongoing. The safety of our students, faculty, and staff is our #1 priority. If and when we catch who is responsible for these violent acts, they will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McTiernan. PSBA report, Director Gilmartin.
I do not have anything specific. Later in the meeting, we will have a resolution to appoint PSBA officers. But we did, I'll segue into my next responsibility, we did reinvigorate our school showcases. So we have Mr. Coleman here from Robert Morris to tell us, yes, please. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you very much, Ms. Gilmartin, for inviting me. Ms. Gilmartin told me I have 3 minutes to speak, so I will be about 2.5 minutes. I will not be long. Again, members of the Board of Education, thank you for having me. Incoming board members, Ro Hume and Sarah Cruz. Please, anytime any of the board members would like to come to Robert Morris to see our teachers teach and our students learn, our doors are open for you. Please come, call me. It's awesome to see some of the things that our teachers are doing. They are working extremely hard with our students. I always say teachers matter, but good teachers matter even more. So our good teachers are really teaching, so it's really a good thing. One of the things we're focusing on this year at Robert Morris, like many of the Scranton schools, is through our comp plan and our school profile. We're looking at a lot of interventions, also enrichment activities that a lot of our teachers are focusing on. Starting this Wednesday, through a lot of our Title I money, which has been great through our comp plan, we're offering tutoring 2 days a week, math and ELA tutoring done by our own teachers at Robert Morris. So we're able to identify students. Any student basically can come to us for interventions, so it's something that's very positive. We started at the end of last year, and we're really hoping to expand it this year. Another great thing we're doing with our Title I money is a lot of the elementary schools are doing this. We're doing an online program called Moby Max, and it's an online program in all subjects with an adaptive curriculum. And the programs find and fix learning gaps with the power of personalized training. One of the things we love about this is the students can do it at their house with their parents as well. It's 24/7, and Moby Max is great. It's trained all of our teachers. So students love it, the teachers love it, and it's just getting a lot of positive reviews. One other thing I'm very proud of that we're doing at Robert Morris is we just are in the infancy stages. We formed a partnership with Marywood University. They are in our backyard, so for us not to take advantage of the resources that they can provide us would be would be not very smart. So besides student teachers, we're working with a lot of their clubs and a lot of their education departments. Students at the university are required to do a lot of service hours. So what they're doing is working one-on-one with some of our students. They're able to sit down and give some students the one-on-one need that they're requiring. So it's a great thing. The teachers are happy. We do that along with the Voluntary Action Center. We have former teachers coming back to Morris to help. So it's truly a community effort between our universities and the Voluntary Action Center. So we're very happy about that. And last but not least, everybody has in their packet, we have the best Halloween parade in all of Scranton. And I'm very proud to say that. So members of the board, and Mrs. Gilmartin has been there, Dr. Finan, if you want to see a great parade, 50 times better than Delaware Valley. But please come October 31st. And again, members of the board and incoming board members, thank you for your service. You're all doing a great job, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Coleman, thank you for your service as well. At this point of time in the agenda of the meeting, it's time for public comment. At this time, we welcome public comment. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Union officials will be allowed 4 minutes, and your time may not be passed on to any speaker. When your time is up, we kindly ask that you finish your sentence and wrap it up. In order to maintain respect for all points of view, the board requests no yelling from the audience, no booing or other form of support or non-support to be used. The board will not tolerate derogatory remarks or personal attacks against any board member, administrator, or any person. This is a time for you to publicly air your comment, debate, and dialogue is discouraged at this time. Our first speaker this evening is Michelle Petritis.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I am here to talk about what happened this morning at Scranton High with the evacuation. My child is a junior here, and she does suffer from some anxiety issues. I know that the bomb scares, which is what I'm understanding they were, are scary for everyone, including the administration. One of my first comments, I came at 1 o'clock to pick Sophie up and take her out of the school because her anxiety was too high and I couldn't leave her here any longer. And that's what I'm here to address. On that note, at 1 o'clock when I got here, the woman who was working I think it's the attendance desk out front, she is so composed and held her composure so well. It is highly commended that somebody do something for that lady. She was phenomenal this afternoon. The line of people, I stood in line for 20 minutes to show my ID so that I could check Sophie out and do what I was supposed to. A lot of parents took kids right out the door and didn't do any of that process. While I was there watching what was happening, she didn't crack once. She was unbelievable, and I told her so as I was leaving. My concern and one of my recommendations, having gone through this process today, at 10:30 this morning I received a text saying that my daughter was being evacuated from my child. I then proceeded to drive right here to get into the parking lot across the street. I sat in the parking lot, watched the end of the evacuation occur over to Riverside. Riverside, is that the name of the building across the street? Riverfront. Then I watched them come out and leave, and I waited until the procedure was completely finished. I didn't know why they were going back. I assumed it was safe. Tried to convey that to her while she was walking past. I didn't get out of my car. She saw me, called me, and said, "Mom, what's going on?" I said, "I have no idea, but they wouldn't let you back in the school unless they thought it was safe." From my perspective, I thought it was a really fast turnaround. It was only a half an hour that I was in the parking lot. That being said, by 1 o'clock, I couldn't take the texting any longer from her because I couldn't assure her enough that she was in a safe situation. I couldn't do it. What I thought might have helped, and I still think might have helped, is if someone from authority within this school stood up in front of the students, file them all in here, and give them some sort of reasonable assurance that they are safe. And short of being able to tell them that they are safe, perhaps dismissal needs to be offered at that time, if you cannot say those words out loud. They're teenagers, they are not adults, and they don't have enough information. On the way back, the district posted on the SSD website on Facebook that it was a bomb threat. So as they were leaving and coming back into the school, they knew and were then rumoring within themselves that it was a bomb threat. To my knowledge from her, I just have her say so, they were never assured from teachers or otherwise that they were in a safe situation. They were just brought back and told they were going to resume as normal. That is my request, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Gerard?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Scranton School District. Gerard Hetman from Lackawanna County's Community Relations Department. On this visit at this time, we're sort of in a period of transition with our events for the year, finishing up the events from the summer and the early fall season before we head into the county budget, and some of our holiday-themed, Christmas-themed events later in the calendar year. So we'd like to thank everyone for their support over the summer, events such as the 3-on-3 basketball tournament, our Art in the Park days at the county parks, as well as our Family Fun days at the county parks. We're all a great success this year, certainly lots of turnout from students and families in the district, so we appreciate your cooperation in sharing and promoting those events. We're able to do some good work, especially over the summer when I'm sure you want students engaged, continuing to learn, staying physically fit. So we're happy to offer programs that help with that mission. So thank you for your cooperation on that. A few items that we have here to note. The first is the latest installment in the Skywarn Weather Spotter training course that's offered by the National Weather Service at Binghamton. The next one is for winter weather. It takes place on Thursday, November 18th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Lackawanna County Center for Public Safety, better known as the 911 Center. Of course, Skywarn is a program run by the National Weather Service that trains civilians to watch for and report on weather conditions in real time. Even with all of the technology we have in the world today, sometimes eyes on the ground are the best way to get an accurate assessment of weather conditions, particularly when it comes to public safety. This program is a great way for folks interested in weather to contribute to public safety in the event of weather incidents. Again, it's safe training. This is certainly not storm chaser type of stuff. It's very responsible, well done, and there's always need for new people in the pool. Some people take the training and they stay active. Some people take it and fade away over the years, so newcomers are always welcomed. We'll leave the registration information with Mrs. Orr. And we also have an item from our partners at NeighborWorks, Northeastern Pennsylvania. You may be familiar with this because they're doing some good publicity to try to spread the word, but they need volunteers to do door-to-door surveying for their West Scranton revitalization project. We've got all the details here. There's a variety of different times available. I think most of the work will take place for the rest of October and into early November. Some of it is in the late afternoon, early evening hours on weekdays. Some of it is on weekends. It's a good opportunity for students to get service hours, or anyone, faculty, retired faculty, anyone that you know who wants to go door to door, lace up their walking shoes and do a little door-to-door contact for the good of the community. So again, we'll leave all their information here. There's actually a website that makes sign up pretty easy, and all of the contact information for the staff handling it at NeighborWorks is right here. So please feel free to share the word. Then we'll also have information in the next few weeks about the county budget process. The budget has to be presented to the public in tentative form for public review by October 15th. Normally the commissioners have a press event that day to unveil the budget as proposed. There's then a period of public comment where there'll be a series of public budget hearings, and then the commissioners have to vote on it twice at 2 separate meetings before December 1st. When the budget comes out, the proposed version will be in PDF format on the county website. We'll also have a plain text message that goes with the budget, and sometimes we do charts, graphs, illustrations, that type of thing, depending on what the commissioners want. We'll get all that to your office, and we'll make it readily available. We want the budget process to be open to the public, interactive. We welcome feedback, we welcome questions. It's not something that's just passed and pushed to the side. It's something that we want public interaction on, feedback, and participation. So ask us your questions, come to the budget hearings, come to our office. The budget is there for the public to work with and see and feel. So that's all we have. Thank you as always.
Thank you. Holly Mead?
Holly Mead, special ed teacher at Northeast Intermediate. Just want to say, I think it's like a Christmas miracle having all the resolutions and the agendas online. Like, I was just looking for one and I pulled it up on my phone and it was right there. So thank you to whoever did that. That's pretty awesome. And as a girl who comes in late a lot, and then when it's like a really big meeting and we're all trying to share the packet, that's nice. And you'll save some paper, so A+. 2 weeks ago, for the first time since I've been employed by the Scranton School District, I saw students, teachers, board members, administration, and the union all coming together on an issue: public school funding. Each group collaborated together to bring the documentary Backpack Full of Cash to Scranton. Public school funding is the most important issue for not only our district, but for public schools across the state and across the nation. Thank you to all the current board members who attended, all the future board members who attended, and for those who did not, you definitely missed out. Second thing, last year our library at Northeast Intermediate School was open on Thursdays with a half-day Friday, being staffed by one library clerk. Because a different library clerk was given a position in the admin building, now our district is short one clerk. So instead of our students being able to access the library once every 3 weeks, it's now going to be once every 6 weeks. Let me repeat that, once every 6 weeks. It is physically impossible to have all of our 850 students go to the library in one day with the building in time for that clerk to check out 30 students each class period. For example, if you checked out a book on October 10th, the next chance you would get to get another book would be November 21st. Our clerk is super nice and she's really good and she's letting the kids check out 2 books at a time if they want, but that's not enough. The students that are being affected the most are the ones who love to read. It's like the saddest thing. I can't even tell you how sad it is. I leave you with this quote that Peter Hamill said: "We grow up poor, but not we grew up poor, but not impoverished." And you know what the difference was? The library.
Thank you, Holly. Rosemary Boland?
I echo all of the remarks you heard Holly just made. And I would be remiss if I did not address one of your proposals tonight regarding Kelly Services. I ask you not to renew this deal with Kelly. We have been keeping track for the last several weeks of the number of coverages in our schools. This past Friday, every single building reported in that somebody or somebodies in their buildings had to cover multiple classes. In some instances, a class would be divided among 2 teachers or 3 teachers. And so when maybe the class should have 27 students or 28 or 30, but particularly at the elementary with 27 and 28, once that class was divided and given to one of the teachers, they were teaching 35 or more students in some instances. This is just ridiculous. If the word on the street is to be believed, people are being encouraged by being told that it's difficult to park in Scranton School District and maybe they'd like to go someplace else, maybe like Abington, because they have very nice children there. Well, guess what? We have very nice children here, and we park our cars here, and we work here. And I do not believe for 1 second this is a good idea for us to keep this company working here. They're not doing what they're supposed to do, and when I read all of this tonight, I can't even believe it. That's wrong. They're wrong. Last week at the school where Holly works, on one Friday alone, there were 35 coverages. 35 coverages. That's 35 periods had to be covered because there was nobody in the building. In many of the schools last week that I talked with their building representatives, classes were doubled. Doubled in the Scranton School District. I've been in this district a long time. That was unheard of. And if people don't want to work here, then they're going to have to be incentivized to work here or not even bother coming here. Because this isn't right. And then when subs do go online and say they're going to come into this district and work, when they wake up in the morning, if they see that the building they thought they were going to or wanted to go to is not available, they check out and they won't come in because they don't want to sub in a certain building in this district. The middle school schedule is deplorable. It was deplorable when this passed here. It's worse than deplorable now. So you can kick it up to the 10th power as far as I'm concerned, because no sub in his or her right mind is coming into a building that works longer than any other building in the city. Longer periods and a longer work day and no break. No break to teach school in the Scranton School District. That is idiotic. It was a bad idea when it was presented, and was a bad idea when it was implemented, and it's still a bad idea. And no way you dress it up is it going to look good. It isn't. And so now we can't even get people to want to come in and sub in our middle schools. That's sad. And then add to that doubling up classes. This is not even sort of the best idea in town. So instead of paying them $123.13, I say give the subs more money and do it ourselves. Make the calls ourselves. It worked when I was young, and it would still work. This stinks. And I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Ms. Boland.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
If I just might add, this contract, our contract, the yearly contract with Kelly has already been approved. This is just the addition of the paraprofessionals. Mr. Castrovinci, do you have anything else to add with regards to that?
No, you're exactly correct.
Okay.
It's just requesting that the board approve the addition of paraprofessional.
You can't get paraprofessionals for $7 because they would be better off working down at the mall. And they are better off working there. For $7 an hour, they're going to change diapers and get hit. Is somebody kidding? No.
Thank you, Ms. McTiernan. Is that all?
Yes, that's all.
Rohume?
I have known Michelle Petraeus for a long, long time. Our kids swim together, my grandchildren and her kids swim together. It struck me that what she was saying about the lack of communication with the kids is very real, because this is a generation that's grown up with school shootings and all of that, and they live with a high level of anxiety. The upside of that is that I think as these kids progress through into adulthood and become voters, one of the first issues they're going to address is gun violence and sensible gun violence legislation. We're seeing that in Parkland, we're seeing it in kids that are traumatised and anxious. I just wanted to inquire, and I throw the idea out. We have a one text system that contacts the parents, right, that says this is what's happening. I don't think you'd find, if you shook them upside down by their heels, any child in this high school that didn't have a smartphone. And I'm wondering whether it would be worth exploring setting up a one text system separately for the kids, so that they could be informed in a timely fashion, and we could short circuit the fact that they are online before they're out of the building. They've got accurate information, they can be reassured, and we can communicate to them separately. A separate system, I know they cost money, those systems, but it may well be that we can stop panic, we can give them accurate information, and we can control the message. Because these kids would have been very, very scared. There was Thursday, there was the Friday game, and there was two this morning. Why don't we look at a system possibly where we control the message? And if we already have one, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Hume.
Mrs. Dixon, I can just add if you would like me to.
I would.
We do use the Remind app, and anything over 150 users at this point, they have started to charge. So we do have the Remind app, but there is a fee. So maybe there's something else that we can look at. But I just wanted you to know that that is something that we use, but now they charge over 150, once you get over 150.
I think that's great, and I hear what you're saying about the budget. Possibly there may be occasions like this one, where one message to send over to control the information so that we don't let them work this when I got here.
Yes. And I appreciate your feedback, and we will continue to make the
really
situation.
just sharing that information. It's just disturbing being a parent watching it occur and thinking that it could be curbed somewhat, where my daughter's anxiety level would have lowered if a figure of authority had told her that they were really okay.
And I agree. So we will.
I'm just going to throw an idea out there. Can't they do a Facebook page and the kids sign up as a friend to that school?
Facebook's not allowed.
That'd be free.
I believe we can explore those options, definitely.
Thank you. Okay, now, we need a motion to approve the minutes of August 7th, 15th, and September 3rd meeting. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Now, the consent agenda is up next. Is there anything on the consent agenda that any director wants pulled before we do the consent vote?
So I'm going to ask to pull B1.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, let the record show that we're removing B1 from the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Second?
Second.
Roll call. Do I need to do it on the question on the consent agenda? I forget.
You should do that, yes.
On the question?
The only on the question, I don't think it's necessary to pull it, but the permissions to attend, I had asked, I believe at the last meeting, that we add a column explaining the sponsoring entity, and that is not on this list. So if that could happen going forward, I'd appreciate it.
I remember that, Katie.
Thank you. I do remember that. Roll call?
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Okay, we're going to start with budget and finance. Director Popo, you're going to start with B1 that we pulled.
Okay. To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Acting Assistant Superintendent and the Budget and Finance Committee that the following resolution be considered. The list billed payments in accordance with bill payment approval policy be approved as per attached. I move the orders be drawn upon the Treasury as follows: October 7th, 2019, of $1,128,968.99, respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
On the question, I'll be recusing myself as I'm an employee at the CTC.
Thank you, Director McAndrew. Roll call?
What resolution was that?
B1. B1.
B1. Mr. Laffey, I know I've asked this in the past. John Menora is on our bill list, I think for about $5,000. Is this a fee that's being charged for past services, or can you explain that somewhat? I don't at this point. I don't know if it's past bills that we're processing through, or,
No, it should not be for that.
Does he do special ed? He does?
He's representing the family against the district.
He's representing somebody?
yeah, that's sufficient if that's the case.
I just wanted, just like to confirm with the district.
Probably the last page.
Sure is.
You know what, it's B2. It's on page 14 of B2.
Which we already passed.
Yes.
Well, you can get your question answered anyway.
I remember seeing it, and I don't know.
Yes, the town code that provided a special ed related town code, so it's
Okay.
for special ed stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, you know what, I jumped the gun too. I'm abstaining from B7, not B1.
Okay.
All right, what do you got here?
Just remind me when we get
Sorry.
there.
Okay. Nowhere to hurry.
Okay, now we're doing a roll call? I forgot where we are. Roll call?
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Abstain?
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
7 affirmative, 1 abstention, motion passes.
Okay, to the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Acting Assistant Superintendent and Budget Finance Committee to grant authority to the Joint Operating Committee of the Career Technology Center of Lackawanna County to approve the refinancing of the Series 2012 bonds of the Career Technology Center of Lackawanna County per the attached. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question? You're
You already
abstaining?
know.
Okay, you're abstaining, it's in the record. Anybody else? Roll call?
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew? Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
7 affirmative, 1 abstention, motion passes.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Acting Assistant Superintendent of Schools and the Budget and Finance Committee recommend the following. Whereas tax appeals have been received from the Board of Assessment Appeals for the following properties. Owner Todd T.G. Kolazeski, property address 160 South Main Avenue, map number 14518. 040073. The new real estate assessment effective date is $13,000. The effective date is January 1st, 2015. Therefore, be resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors approves the new property assessment as negotiated between all the parties involved. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question?
I see that this is being reduced to $13,000, but what was the assessment? What is it being reduced from?
I believe the assessment was $13,500.
So it
There's
was,
a $500 differential.
okay. But that's, so the $500, I thought that was the loss in taxes, not the,
I'm sorry, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. I don't have that number.
okay.
This is the resolution, though, that it would be a $500 loss per year.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
No.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
7 affirmative, 1 negative, motion passes.
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the Acting Assistant Superintendent of Schools and the Budget and Finance Committee recommend the following, whereas tax appeals have been received from the Board of Assessment Appeals for the following properties. The owner, the North Washington Group LLC, property address 116 North Washington Avenue, map number 15635020006. And whereas the Board of Assessment Appeals has reached property assessment on these settlements on the properties, and whereas the Scranton School Board of Directors wishes to contest the proposed settlement amounts, and whereas to do so will require the district to retain an appraiser to evaluate each property, therefore be it resolved that the Scranton School Board of Directors authorizes district officials to retain an appraiser to contest the above-mentioned tax assessment appeals. Respectfully submitted.
Second? Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Director Gilmartin, will you take the next one?
Certainly. To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Acting Assistant Superintendent and the Community Relations Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the board recognizes that individuals, businesses, and community organizations may wish to contribute supplies and equipment to enhance or extend the programs in the schools, and whereas the board has the authority to accept or refuse to accept any gift and donation made to the school district or to any district school, and therefore be it resolved, the Scranton School Board hereby approves Lackawanna College's donation of chair desks to be used by or in Scranton School District classrooms. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Acting Assistant Superintendent and the Community Relations Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the board recognizes that individuals, businesses, and community organizations may wish to contribute supplies and equipment to enhance or extend the programs in the schools, and whereas the board has the authority to accept or refuse to accept any gift and donation made to the school district or to any district school, and therefore be it resolved, the Scranton School Board hereby approves Ellen Keeler Moore's donation of Colts bus passes to be used by high school students in the Scranton School District. Respectfully submitted.
Second.
On the question?
I would just like to acknowledge that Mrs. Moore, it's funny to call her that, but is a longtime, very dear friend of mine, and I did not learn of this until it was in the newspaper, but it surprises me not at all that she would take on an initiative like this. So, thank you, Ellen.
We're very grateful. Roll call?
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Director Norton?
To the members of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton, the acting Assistant Superintendent and the following Education Committee recommend the following resolution for your consideration. Whereas the Scranton School District of the City of Scranton recognizes the need to allow Power School Group LLC to perform a cleanup of of Power School and eSchool and upgrade to version 19.4. And whereas, in order to fulfill the needs of the Board of Directors' wish to enter into an agreement with Power School Group LLC, and whereas the agreement includes $9,810 for the upgrades to version 19.4 and $15,000 for the key to ownership cleanup. And now therefore be it resolved, the Scranton School Board of the District of Directors, hereby approves the agreement with Power School Group LLC as per the attached.
Do we have a second
Second.
on the question? Roll call?
I do have a question.
Okay.
As far as our end of it, with the meeting we had last week, we are going to, is this going to be a cheaper way of moving forward compared to the old system we have? Or is this just the latest version that will have to be adjusted?
This would be the version 19.4, Mr. Norton.
Right.
So this is, I'm not sure exactly what your question is. So
Well, as far as it goes within the school district, we seem to have some glitches of our own. Would this help eliminate those glitches that we're having, or?
Yeah, so what we will do is clean up the data. That's
Right.
the first step. Then once the data is cleaned up, and the company helps us clean up that data, then we would upgrade.
So this will be a purchase after the actual cleanup?
Well, no, it's a purchase not, well, we have to sign to do this now. They won't do any work until these documents are signed. So once we sign the documents, then basically what will happen is the cleanup of data. They're committing to helping us clean up our data, and then we would upgrade. The goal would be around Christmas time.
Right, and then we're gonna, in the summertime, we follow up and we would have the new system in place when school's out of session, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but there might be another upgrade or something.
There might be.
This 19.4, the way I heard it was, will be obsolete by summer.
It could possibly be, he said.
And I think they're no longer going to support it. I mean, they're going to support it because we're a customer, but I think the support is.
Right, basically, they talked about a possible, I believe the man that spoke to us talked about that they might be at 1911, I think that was the number he used. But we, in talking to the individual, he said where we are now, we can't go directly to 1911. So yes, you are correct that by the time we get to 19.4, there may be a 1911, but we can't go directly to 1911. He's not recommending going to 1911 from 4.0.
Correct, and then he said that we cannot, our system has too many custom features and we have to simplify our system so we could run efficiently. We can't run efficiently with the way the system is.
Correct, and we can't do that. We can't make those changes in the middle of the year. So those changes would be made over the summer, where we talked about the complicated way that we grade in some areas. We will have to simplify and then go from there. So that would have to be done over summer, that we wouldn't affect that during the school year. Yeah, basically we customize too much.
Right.
So can I just ask this question too? So how does this fit in with the rest of the IT programs? Is this compatible with it? And not knowing how you folks are operating on a day-to-day, is it better to also look outside of this particular group to see what's available?
The problem right now is a new system. We have this system already, so to upgrade, the fees are before you.
Right, right.
And again, by no means am I a expert in this, but a new system, a new student information system is very expensive.
Okay.
So to start from ground zero with a new system and the amount of training that would be needed, I'm not sure financially, and again, I will pass that to Dr. Fina, but financially, I'm not sure we're in a position where we can purchase a new student information system at this time.
All right. Sure.
I can address a new system. We did receive a couple prices. One was about $250,000, $250,000, and the other one was $157,000. We don't have those funds available now to put into that, along with the training that would have to occur, because you actually start right from ground zero and have to build it. This is some software upgrades, some bug fixes, and then moving to the latest version that we can move to over Christmas. The improvements that we have to make are ours to make in the summer with regard to, we have too many customizations at this point. And so we need to we need to put in place basic report cards and basic progress reports, so we're not so individualized as we have been. And then when you do what's called a rollover, you archive the 2019-20 year, and then you roll over to the new system for the 2020-2021, and we would do that at the end of June, beginning of July. So that's when, prior to that is when we have to improve our report cards and progress reporting, and basically make everything that is, it needs to be consistent, building to building, level to level. We don't have that consistency now. So is it the best way to go? I think it's our only choice at this moment in time. Cleaning up the data is really critical to do so we can move to the next step. And then there is no possible way that we have the amount of personnel available to implement a whole new student management system, nor do we have the funds available for that. So this is the right way to go at this point.
Thank you.
To go off that, if we're looking at a new system, how does Power School compare with like some of these other systems? Pretty standard?
Oh, sure. I actually did a survey to ask who's using Power School. It's a very popular system. So it's, in fact, a consulting firm I'm very familiar with also uses that, because there are some other systems available for like applicant tracking and that. So they've really expanded. So it's really a pretty viable system. We just need to get ours cleaned up and measure up. And maintain it. Here you go, maintain it.
Okay, Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Roll call?
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yep.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
Okay, Director Borthwick?
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton is the recommendation of the Personnel Committee that the attached list of appointments, assignments, resignations, leaves of absences, and professional contracts is approved. Appointments are effective upon receipt of proper criminal records, immigration, and medical and child abuse reports. Salaries are in accordance with the collective bargaining agreements. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second
Yes, second.
on the question? Roll call?
Mr. Lush?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Pople?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
F2, Director?
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it's the recommendation of the Acting Assistant Superintendent and the Personnel Committee that the following is approved. Be it resolved, the attached terms be accepted per the contract with Kelly Education Staffing for the 2019-2020 school year. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second
Second.
on the question?
Yeah, I'd like to just start off by saying, Kelly, we've talked about this in my tenure on the board a couple of times, that Kelly, their fulfillment rate is lower than what they had originally promised. And when you look at the pricing that they made public here, I agree with Ms. Boland's point that if we paid more, we would we would be filling these positions more. I don't know what the long-term solution to the sub shortage is. We've discussed it before, and I've mentioned that people just don't want to be teachers. But incentivizing it is something that would help. So I just want to say on that note, $7.50 an hour for paraprofessionals is definitely too low. I absolutely agree with that point.
Also on the question, I've never been satisfied with their services. They've never achieved the percentage of coverage that they've guaranteed since I'm here, and they're here 3 years. And I know we were supposed to, the former superintendent said, well, hang in there, let's take a 3-year average. So, well, 3 years is up, so I've never been happy with their performance.
I'll echo that. Every time they came up for a vote, I voted no against them, but can you explain this a little bit better, because it's not a new contract?
This is not new. This is for paraprofessionals. If you recall, a couple months ago, we had a sub-caller who became ill, and we did not replace that person. She was doing the paraprofessional sub-calling. So this is to use them for that purpose. I will tell you that I'm not happy at all with their services. I'm in total agreement with whatever everyone has said here tonight, including Ms. Boland. In the recovery plan, we will study, and there is a section to study replacing Kelly Services and to bring it back in-house. Here is our problem. We need to get subs. We need to redo our personnel policy, so we do some interviews to encourage people, if they don't get a job here, to sub. That's how most districts get their subs. They interview. If you don't get a job, we ask you to get on the sub list. Basically, that's how it works. And we have to build our own sub list. We don't have a sub list right now. I also know that there's an opportunity if people have at least 60 credits, 60 undergraduate credits, they can become substitutes. We have never tapped that resource, to my knowledge, okay? I could be wrong here, but I don't think we have. So that's a whole initiative that I believe is worth undertaking. Certainly not this year, but for next school year, because I think we can pay more and we can incentivize people if we're not paying for a service. And we can, I know we used to have one person do the sub-calling. Well, maybe we need 2 people to do the sub-calling for a district our size, but we can work that out. That works okay. The issue is we have to build a list of subs that we can draw from. And I think we have to pay more. To be very honest, people aren't going to work for the amount of money that they're getting paid, even as a teacher anymore. I mean, $90 just isn't enough to get people to come out to work maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days a week. We do have a lot of classes that are not covered with subs. I mean, it's really very sad. So I think it has to go both ways. I think we have to incentivize people to come to work every day, and I think we have to incentivize our subs and pay them more. And if we're not paying a service and we're only paying our own personnel, I think we can afford to do that. But that would be for the, let me get this right, 2021 school year.
So at this point, this is the intermediary until
Yeah.
we get our sub-list together.
To be honest, they have never done, I don't think they do a really good job. They're not promising a lot of paraprofessionals, are they, Mr. Castrovinci?
Well, I don't know that they promised anything in regards to paraprofessionals.
Yeah, right.
But I'm holding out hope that they can find people. We're roughly running about maybe 7 to 10 absences a day for our paraprofessional staff.
Did I get a second?
Yes.
I did? Okay. And we did the on the question now? Okay, roll call.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. Norton?
No.
Mr. Popel?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Mr. Borthwick?
No.
Ms. Martin?
No.
Mr. Lesh?
No.
Mrs. Dixon?
No.
One affirmative, 7 negative, motion fails.
So who will now make the call for paraprofessionals? Does anybody have a, who's doing it now?
Yeah, I didn't hear. Right, right now, Mr. Castrovinci, your office is doing that, correct?
Yeah.
So with the board's vote, then we will make a plan and continue.
Okay. Thank you. Director Gilmartin.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Acting Assistant Superintendent and the Policy Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the following policies, 004-201, 204, 208, and 209, second read, have been revised by the Pennsylvania School Board Association. Policy 004, membership, 201, admission of students, 204, attendance, 208, withdrawal from school, 209, health examinations, screenings. Whereas the following board operating guideline, BOG 004, BOG 0, and 004, BOG 2, second read, have been revised by the Pennsylvania School Board Association. 004, BOG 0, statement of financial interest, 004, BOG 2, Board of School Directors Vacancy Application Form. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approves as a second read revision of policy numbers 004, 201, 204, 208, 209, and Board Operating Guidelines 004, BOG 0, and 004, BOG 2, recommended by the Pennsylvania School Board Association, respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second? Good. On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mr. Popel?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, it is the recommendation of the Acting Assistant Superintendent and the Policy Committee that the following resolution be approved. Whereas the following policies 333, 705, 709, 805, and 805.1, first read, have been revised by the Pennsylvania School Board Association. 333, professional development, 705, facilities and workplace safety, 709, building security, 805, emergency preparedness and response, 805.1, relations with law enforcement agencies. Whereas the following policy, 805.2, first read, has been implemented by the Pennsylvania School Board Association. 805.2, school security personnel. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approves as a first read revision of policy numbers 333, 705, 709, 805, 805.1, and hereby approves as a first read implementation of policy number 805.2, recommended by the Pennsylvania School Board Association, respectfully submitted.
Second, please.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Mr. Popel?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
8 affirmative.
To the members of the Board of School Directors of the City of Scranton, whereas as a member of the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, the Scranton School Board is encouraged to participate in the PSBA election of officers. And whereas PSBA Policy 108 specifies that votes of an entity's board are to be cast at a public meeting, and therefore be it resolved that the Scranton School Board hereby approves the following: Art Levinowitz, President-elect; David Hine, Vice President. Trustees, seat 1, Kathy Swope. Seat 2, Mark Miller. School Board Secretaries Forum Steering Committee, Beth Ann Ziegler, Shikellamy School District, Jennifer Davidson, Manheim Township School District, and Jamie Lynn Zimmerowski, Schuylkill Intermediate Unit 29 and Schuylkill Technology Center. Respectfully submitted.
Do I have a second
Second.
on the question?
Yes, Katie, do you know offhand the school districts that the elected officials are from?
Not offhand, but we did get that information.
I know we did, but I didn't see any districts, or I don't believe any of these districts, or people that we're voting on are from urban districts. They all appear to be from small, rural and suburban districts, and it'd be nice if we had some representation on there from districts such as ours.
Yeah.
I know you're looking at the secretaries, for example, Shikellamy, Manheim Township, Schuylkill IU 29, I mean, they're small places, and they don't have anything in common with what we have as far as financial problems and the problems of an urban school district, and I find that PSBA is a very strong lobbying group, and with our fair funding initiative and whatnot, I'd like to see some representation at PSBA from a large district.
I think that's a very good point.
That's a great point. So at this point, does anybody offhand know if anybody else is running against these individuals from a district such as that?
No, this came forward as a slate of all of these names. The only choice we had was the School Board Secretaries Forum Steering Committee. There were 4 names and we were to select 3. And I shared all of that information with all of you. Ginny shared bios of each of them, and I made my selection based on there was duplication of one school district, so I just thought that was the most appropriate person.
I can't remember, I do remember looking at the information, and I don't recall any large urban districts being represented in these things. And I find
But I mean, it's my understanding that this is about people from districts stepping forward and taking on leadership roles, not, it isn't that PSBA is reaching out, handpicking these people. So I think that's a very good point, and I think it's something we should all consider becoming more involved with.
That's what I was going to suggest. I think it's a really valid point, and I know that they're always looking for people from districts to step forward to serve in certain roles, and it might be something that members of this board would consider for in the future, to step forward and get very active with PSBA and on
In
some of
fact,
the committees.
I think right now there are 3 task forces, which I wish I had remembered before I came here, and I would have written all of that information down, and I can send it to you. There are 3, they're looking for members for 3 task forces, and one of them is property tax reform. So I certainly think it would be very interesting. I mean, I think you all get that in your newsletters, but I will make a point of sharing that again. I think the deadline is looming. I think it's still to come, but that would be great if people step forward.
I think it's really beneficial when you have someone who can be at those meetings and bring it back to the community. And to Mr. Pupple's suggestion, you have unique issues here, and that would be really beneficial for both sides to hear it as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Are we doing a second on here?
I got a second.
We did the on the question, so roll call?
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Borthwick?
Yes.
Ms. Gilmartin?
Yes.
Mr. Lesh?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Norton?
Yep.
Mr. Popo?
Oh.
Mrs. Dixon?
Yes.
Peter Fremden?
Okay, we're now at new business. I don't know if there's anything on the floor, if anybody wants to say anything. I'm opening the floor.
Sure, I'd like to just reiterate, we had a recovery meeting last week, and it was a wonderful update that I provided to the advisory committee. Thank you, Sarah, for your excellent article that was in Sunday's paper. I thought you did a wonderful job covering everything that we discussed at that meeting. We have on, I initially spoke about October 17th being a day that we would have a building reconfiguration committee meeting, but it's now rescheduled to October 21st. We start at 10 o'clock. So any board members who would like to be part of that, I would appreciate that. We're going to travel and look at the buildings. We're also going to talk about our usage right now of every classroom in each building and what the future looks like and what our potential needs are. I would like to, having been the superintendent in a district where there was a school shooting, I have great experience in the anxiety that comes with school shooting and the recovery that has to occur after that. It was a horrible situation. I could relive it in my mind, and I think it happened in 1998. So think about how long ago that was. A very long time ago. There is no time that a district can take any threat, even vague, less than serious. We have to do what we have to do. What we can do is improve our communication, and you're absolutely right. We don't have great communication available within our buildings. Many of our buildings have terrible communication. We don't have PA systems that operate throughout the whole building. I'll be examining that. We're collecting data right now, and we'll be looking at a way to improve that. One example is West Scranton High School. It was built as a bomb shelter. The walls are so thick that radio frequencies, Bluetooth, don't work in those facilities. We have to have other means of communicating, and we have not solved that. But it's on the list. It's something that we're talking about right now and looking at ways to do it. There is something called a satellite phone. They use it. The military uses them. They're very expensive, but that might be the answer, to have one that we can use to reach the outside world in an emergency. So we will be examining all of that, and I guarantee you that we will improve our communication as soon as we can find those answers. What we can do is help assure our principals and our teachers to better communicate that if the building is deemed safe after it's been examined by the authorities, and we work hand in hand, I will give all the credit to Mrs. McTiernan and Mrs. Griebeck and Mr. Doherty. They were on site, on staff, working tirelessly to make sure that every backpack was searched, every student was wanded or went through metal detectors, and of course the police did their searching in the building. Mrs. McTiernan had a debriefing today, and in that debriefing it was discussed how can we better approach these, what are the things that we can do, what other ideas do you have, and all of that is taken into account to improve the next time that happens. What we need to do is encourage parents to talk to their children. If they know information, share it. We cannot continue to have children in fear coming to school. That is something that we can't do, but on the other side of that, we can't overlook any threat, even though it's vague. So it's a balancing act. I will tell you, we never want to go through what my district went through at that time. It is a terrible thing. What we can do is try to put all those preventative measures in place and definitely improve our communication, and we are and will continue to work on that. I can't thank Team Scranton. I call the team here, Team Scranton. They stepped up to the plate. 4 bomb threats in 3 days. is a little difficult to handle, but they handled it beautifully and with grace and always with staff and students at the foremost of safety in their minds. So thank you, Ann, Paul, and Missy, for all that you've done, and all the other folks in the buildings who've done everything that they have to do. I will tell you, if you know or hear where the threats are coming from, we would like to know that information. That would help us tremendously. And so please share it. If your child knows and they tell you, tell us, and we will work from there. But I wanted to offer my thanks because it is a difficult thing to handle. The one thing we want to do is keep everyone safe. That is our goal. And we will continue to work hard towards that end. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finan. At this point, I would just like to thank everybody for all the hard work we're doing and continue to keep moving forward and working collaboratively like we are. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. Meeting